This is a robot which is being developed and sold to Amazon, amongst others. I'll show you a quick timeline of this. So back in 2012, it was very, very basic. They were just trying to get the legs working. 2015, it started to do a little bit of movement and walking. 2017, you can see the innovation. You can see the advancement. It's basically a walking pair of legs at this point. 2019, it's got arms and can lift a box very badly. And then it gets better and better. It's going upstairs. It's carrying boxes with QR codes so it can read them using AR. And then in 2022, the partnership with Amazon happened, and it's now carrying boxes. It's now packaging. It's now distributing boxes all across the world and replacing warehouse workers. The way that it bends, the way that it works with its legs, some people are even saying is like a better version of human legs, just the way that they operate. Can't get sick, doesn't call in late. It doesn't take annual leave, 24/7, robots for the future. Cool. What are your thoughts when you see that robot? Why don't we start with yourself, Harry?
Yeah, I mean, they've gone down the humanoid route, haven't they, rather than something like Ocado, which has totally automated sort of what do they call it, facilitation or provisioning. Sort of distribution centres, whatever the right word is, but they're taking a very different approach where it's much more kind of like these dynamic kind of trolleys that move around the network, and so it's an interesting approach. Maybe it's going to facilitate Amazon's transition to fully automated warehouses. I'm not sure, but it's it feels like an unusual move to me. Of course it's there's obviously going to be loads of concerns by lots of Amazon employees, right? Are these humanoid robots going to start stealing my jobs? Which is, I think, totally fair enough. But I don't know. My overall opinion is I feel a bit skeptical. Like this is actually that is a good solution to the problem.
Yeah,
really.
And we've talked many times on this show about different types of robots which are not humanoid, which are what you described. How there's many different options, such as like those like self-driving robot vacuum cleaner sort of things, and they can go under shelves and pick things up. And we've seen Amazon using those, but this is obviously a little bit more almost scary to a layperson that just sees like a humanoid robot and they're like, oh my God, it had legs walking and now it's got arms, now it's lifting boxes. What next? What's your take, Sam, when you see this?
There's something in the uncanny valley, isn't there? As soon as you move towards a humanoid kind of shape, people go, oh no, it's actually coming for my job rather than just supporting. But it's not fundamentally doing anything different than the little puck robots that were moving entire units around. It's not doing it any more efficiently than those, but I think it's a transition problem. So Amazon's got a warehouse full of boxes that are designed to be picked up by hands and moved from one place to another, and that's a lot of infrastructure that already exists. So if you can just add a couple of robots into there and slowly move through that transition, that feels like that's where they're going for, is this kind of slow replacement of humans.
Exactly. I think right now it's probably used more as like a co-pilot, I guess would be the word. Humans are there, but the robots are making life easier. But I think very, very quickly, like it's going to start just replacing a lot of those jobs, which are quite automated for the most part. You raise that question, and we have a great topic on the next segment about AI putting an end to work. But I guess from this perspective with the robots, what do you think, Harry? Do you see this replacing Amazon workers globally over the next couple of years?
I think a couple of years is probably a bit of a stretch. It's definitely sort of must be nerve-wracking if you are in those sort of low-skilled, sort of more manual jobs, and increasingly actually the higher skilled, less manual jobs are looking more and more automatable every day. But I'm not sure. I think this is a trend we've seen for the last sort of 60, 70 years since the Industrial Revolution, right? That there's just always been a move to more automation. And it's interesting, actually. I know I'm deviating from your question about Amazon specific ones, but it seems to be much more of an agenda item now. It sort of seems to be affecting the higher skilled jobs much more. So, I think yes, there's probably not much stopping the technology from working at that sort of pace. I think probably it's going to be much more of a kind of political hot button topic now. and is much more likely to be regulated against and jobs to be protected by more automation.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I've been talking about this exact topic on the podcast since 2020 now, and when we started, and every single year I've seen it become more and more the public narrative and people talking about it more and more and more. So I agree, jobs will be replaced, jobs will be created as well for developers, for designers, for data people and so on. But you raise an interesting point there, Harry, because a lot of the jobs that are being replaced, we thought it would be self-driving cars replacing Uber drivers, we thought it would be robots replacing warehouse workers, and we're seeing that. But a lot of what we're seeing is AI replacing developers and accountants and lawyers and all those different high-skilled professions. So it'll be interesting to see what happens, not just in like the blue-collar work, but in the white-collar work as well. What's your take on the job side, Sam?
I think we're a long way away from it being replaced. We hear GPT can write code, but the code that it writes is kind of snippets of Stack Overflow. It's not, let's build something new.
Yeah.
And I think it'll work similar with the Amazon robots. We'll see AI working alongside those high-skilled workers. You'll see legal professionals drafting contracts using AI tools to generate chunks for them. We'll see accountants using it to do automation, which means you can give a lot more focus to different areas. So you can do your job better rather than being entirely replaced.
Yeah, I do think that last kind of 20%, and it's the same with what's, exactly as you say, with some of the large language model work that's been going on recently. It's that last 20% of getting to human level is really hard to get to. And so whilst there's been a lot of big leaps, I mean, look at self-driving cars. It's like the promise has been there. It's always been a couple of years away from everyone's going to be giving up driving for the last decade or so. And it still hasn't really happened. And to be honest, probably isn't going to happen anytime soon because that last 20% is so difficult to get right.
Yeah, I agree that AI can be and robotics can be a phenomenal tool to automate a lot of the work, but I agree that the human quality control check at the end, whether that's a lawyer reviewing the AI, whether that's a developer reviewing the code before it goes into production, it's still so important. Like, you can't just trust it implicitly. I've seen this many times with my recruiting business, because we see so many CVs where it says on the CV, like under bullet points for jobs as a large language model, I cannot, and it's literally just copy and pasting from GPT. And like, if you're doing that, then that's probably more of a red flag on you than the AI. But it's interesting to see people trusting it implicitly, whereas I personally would not. I feel a lot more skeptical. What about you two? Are you all in on trusting it, or are you quality control checking it?
No, I mean, I love the machine learning. AI has been like a passion for a while, back from uni days where we were building single neural nets on chips, and we were kind of going, oh, this machine learning stuff's going to be amazing one day. And one day is always 2 years away. We were 5 years ago, I sat through some work in the government that was talking about, hey, this machine learning stuff's going to replace jobs soon. What are we going to do about it? And they were talking about self-driving cars and trucks, and there was a lot more focus on which jobs are going to be replaced. And still, it's always tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's always just across the horizon, and one day that will come. Today's not. I have used it. Like, it's cool.
Yeah.
You can use it to do some of the grunt work.
Yeah.
Sketch me out an email that does this thing.
Yeah.
There you go, churn it out. But you still read it.
Yeah.
You treat it a little bit more like an intern that you might pass a task to and say,
yeah.
Go in, do this thing, come back to me.
It's an intern, it's not a COO.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree. I actually don't really use any of the large language model services really to do my day-to-day communicating or improving it. I don't use it for that, actually. I think so much of my job as CEO of the business, I've realized, is there's such little nuances in a relationship with someone that just a generalized language model at the moment just isn't going to have the context to understand.
Yeah.
And maybe that will change. Maybe one day I will sort of pre-train my sort of self-hosted large language model on my entire email history, and it will actually pick up those nuances. But I don't know. I'm not convinced that that'll save me times. I can knock out a quick response just much more quickly and capture everything. And that's quite a strong skill of mine almost. I'd sort of say, and it seems like a strange skill to sort of talk about, but it's really, really important. And certainly I certainly haven't found that like that part of the automation process has been particularly helpful yet.
We tend to overestimate what we can do in a year, but underestimate what we can do in like a decade.